Hi there, my name is Megan. I am Jenny's VA for the Shifting to SOAR membership and the Decodable Readers Vault. And today I'm going to share with you some of the extension activities that you can do with your students after reading one of the decodables. Once you have access to the Decodable Readers Vault, this is what it will look like. You can see that we have some videos and FAQs that you can check out, scopes and sequences, lots of information on this home screen. And then you can kind of get into the meat and potatoes down here below. We have two scopes and sequences that we follow, UFly and IMSE currently inside the vault. And we have kindergarten and first grade for both of those scopes and sequences. We do have fluency passages and decodable passages as well, and also digital readers. And they're all connected within the same stories. And the two scopes and sequences each have decodable passages and fluency passages, as well as the digital readers. So you can go ahead and feel free to explore that. And, wherever you're at with your students and your lessons and what you need, you can kind of figure that out as you go along. But I am going to just go ahead and show a sample lesson, and I decided to go with the lesson 77, first grade skill, are controlled vowels, and it is working on AR. And the story is called The Park. So once I know what I'm going to be working on with my students, I can go ahead and come here and then I can download and print everything right here on this side. So right here, I have the stories. I have word work, word mapping, dictation, comprehension, and fluency. And so now you should be able to see the PDF that will pop up once you have downloaded it. And again, this is word work, and this is for lesson 77, and it works on are controlled vowels, AR specifically. So the goal for your students is to make the decodable words dark, bark, barn, car, far, star, start, and Bart. These words are in the story that your students have read or will be reading, depending on how you do this. Some teachers may choose to do a word work lesson to introduce the words to the story. Other teachers may use this as a small group lesson to reinforce what the students have read. I recommend, doing what fits your students best. However, a lot of my small groups have been where we focus on reinforcing the skills that the students need. So I would most likely do this activity after the students have been exposed to AR words already. And each word work for each lesson has this script, very similar. It kind of helps you really lay it out what you need to say to the students. So essentially, what the students will be doing is cutting out the letter cards that will be down below here, the teacher cards. And the students have their own copy on the other page. So you can, print this out for however many students you need, and then they can cut them out. You can also have them pre-cut if that's what works best for your students. Students need those letter cards, scissors, and then if you would also like them to do another form of multisensory with these words, you can have their whiteboards and markers alongside them as well. So your job as the teacher is you read the script. You can build the words alongside the students. You can write them on a whiteboard. You can go ahead and do whatever feels most natural to you. But essentially, what your students will be doing is building and writing the words. So here's the script. T means teacher, S means student. So I'm going to just kind of go through and read just a couple lines of this, and then I'm going to share a video after of what it could look like when your students are doing this. So you can kind of see how, you would be reading the script and how your students would manipulate the word. Okay, so make the word dark. That's the first thing. Your students are just listening. They do not have anything except for those letters, that whiteboard and marker next to them. So using their cards, they are using these letter cards right here. They will make the word dark. And for your students, that's, it's their job to be able to, take apart those sounds and figure out what graphemes they need to match those sounds. If you would like to have your students, add in an extra step where they repeat the word back to you, and then, you have them sound out the sounds that they hear, tap the sounds, map them, you can do whatever works best for you and your students. And again, I'll show kind of an example of what that would look like in just a few moments. I will have that opportunity to have those letter cards out in front of me. So once the students make the word dark, this is your chance to kind of acknowledge, okay, who's got it, who doesn't, who needs some extra help. You can have that additional step. Okay, write it on your whiteboard. So once they've made the word next to them, you have those early finishers. You're helping another student who might need some help. Those students that are already done, they can write this on their whiteboard and it helps them just map that word again and map that skill into their long-term memory. So after they have made that initial word, you're going to be manipulating those words. Most lessons have a lot of manipulation within the word by removing and isolating sounds, taking sounds away and adding something. Some lessons have students working on a specific skill, such as suffixes or prefixes, where the students are really just manipulating like a base word or a prefix or a suffix. But otherwise, most lessons do have students kind of working with words and seeing how the words can change. Another common activity that teachers may be familiar with are word ladders. So it's where you start with one word at the top of the ladder or the bottom of the ladder, I guess, and you change the word in one spot to kind of build upon another ladder. You can think of it as the rhyming as well. Some of the words will rhyme. And as you go through this example script with me, you'll kind of see how the words change and the different ways that your students are working on manipulating, isolating, deleting those phonemes. So the students have the word dark in front of them. You tell them to change the beginning sound to B. And so it's your job when you see this particular part, you see these two slashes with the letter that you use the sound of that letter because what you want is for your students to recognize that sound and match it to the letter that they know makes that sound or letters. And so once students, I know that's the letter B, they will take away the letter D and put the letter B, and then they have the new word bark. And again, following that next step, okay, this student's done. Yeah, go ahead and write that on your whiteboard. Okay, so here we have another change the ending sound. So this time students are looking at the ending sound and they're changing it to the sound n. What's the new word? Students then think, okay, I need to take away this K and put in the letter N because that is the letter that makes the N sound. And then I have the word barn. Okay, so now after that sequence, now we're going to work on some other words that just have the AR at the very end. So let's make a new word. Make the word car. Write it on your whiteboard, and so on and so forth. At the end, there's usually a challenge, and this part is kind of just a chance for your students to really be critical thinkers, and it also allows them to really connect the story to the activity. So, for example, in the story, one of the students' name was, one of the characters' names was Bart. And so, using the word start that they ended at, you have them change it to make the name of the person who was at the park with Anne. So, long story short, instead of giving the students exactly what they need to do to manipulate the word start, you are just simply saying change it somehow. Make the name of the person who was at the park with Anne. And this might be a little challenging for students who have a hard time recalling details from a story. So use your judgment, use what works best for you. If you need to give your students some clues, or if you just want to, be a little bit more explicit about what they need to change, go ahead and do that. You can make the script work for however you need with the group of students that you have. And so after that, we have some other activities within the word work packet. So this right here, this is cut and make. So students use these letter cards to make the words and they just cut and paste. Students have the ability to make sentences that work on phonics skills from that particular lesson as well as parts of the story. So here the students will trace the word and, trace the sentence and read it. Bart and Anne went to the park. Then down here they have these word cards that they will glue in order up here at the build it section and then draw it. In this part, students draw the sentence. There's a few examples of that. We have a word search that has words from the story, an answer key. We have a fill in the blank with words from the story, as well as unscrambling the words using that word bank of words from the story. You will notice that some of the word search words and the fill in the blank words will be heart words. And that is just to continue to reinforce the heart words that they have. They may be from the story, a brand new heart word. They may be a word that the students are still practicing or still learning. This also has an answer key that you will see here. And then after that, we have a picture match. So here students are just drawing a line to match the picture with the word. And again, an answer key. Then we have some rhyming section, a rhyming section. And so here, this is for your higher level thinkers, those that, they could look at the word park and they could identify a word that rhymes with the word park. If you have any students that maybe need a little bit more support, you could use this worksheet, which has another word that they just draw a line to match the rhyming pair. And there's an answer key for that one. So that is word work in a nutshell. Again, I am going to now share how it looks on the student side of things. So you can kind of get an idea to see what students are doing as they are manipulating those word cards. And I'm going to go through the whole script for lesson 77 as if I was the student and I was building those words. Okay, so after your students have cut out all of these letters, or maybe you have a parent volunteer who cuts them out for you before the lesson, totally up to you. Then you will go ahead and start reading off of the script. Remember, T means teacher, S means student. So this is kind of the flow of how you want the conversation to go. Your students may not respond exactly what it says, you may have more conversation than what the script says, but this is just kind of that general flow of what you want them to say and how you want to respond. There aren't any spaces for wait time. It's just, make the word, write it on your whiteboard. Okay, change this, do this. So just be aware of that. Make sure that you are giving your students wait time, and I'll kind of model that as I go through this first script. I'm working off of lesson 77, which is a first grade lesson, and it is working on R controlled vowel. Make the word dark. So students making the word dark. Great, write it on your whiteboard. Okay, if I want to make that additional step for my students, I can. You may have some groups of students that cannot handle that additional step. That is fine. If you feel it is necessary to cut that piece out, go ahead and do so. Your students will get additional practice with word mapping, writing these words, as well as the additional worksheets that we have inside the comprehension bundle, and this word work activity has some worksheets as well where they will be practicing writing. So totally up to you if you want to add in that that writing on the whiteboard piece. Change the beginning sound to b. 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 Beginning sound. You may have to prompt your students to find the beginning sound and change it to. What's the new word? Bark. Now let's change the ending sound to n. N. Again, you might have to prompt some students. Make sure you're kind of giving them that wait time to find that ending sound and then find the letter that makes the n sound. What's the new word? Barn. Make the word car. So again, you might have to prompt and say, okay, we're now starting over with our AR. Car. Which one should I use? You may have to remind your students of the K takes I and E, C takes the other three. If you're familiar with that cat-kite rule, or you may just have a conversation of why C is at the beginning and not the K for car. Change the beginning consonant to what's the new word? Far. Take away the f and add the consonant blend s, t. So you're going to be adding a blend, which is 2 letters. S, t, s, t. And again, I kind of prompted a little bit because that is a lot for a first grader to do. So you can add those in to help kind of guide them to make that word. Now, what is the word? Star. Add the consonant t to the end. Sometimes I also have my students, as they're kind of pulling the letter, letters, they make the sound to kind of help remind them of what they're doing. Okay, what's the new word? Start. Start. Challenge time. So now remember that challenge piece. is a little bit more, a challenge where you may not be guiding them as much. You're not giving them the sound they need or the sounds they need to complete the word that you want them to make. Change the word start to make the name of the person who was at the park with Anne. So this is important because if the students have read this decodable story, they know that one of the characters is Anne and they know the other character is Bart. And sometimes if you need to have your students look back in their decodable to help them. So how can I change this word? Again, depending on your group of students, you may have to prompt and say, what do we need to change to make this word into that? You may have more of a conversation versus just having them do it. So I'm going to change the ST consonant blend into the letter B, and I made the word Bart. And just kind of a little side note, we do have a lowercase b because they made the word bark and barn earlier. And so you may want to have a conversation of, okay, well, actually we need the capital B because it's a name. Just something you may have to do depending on your students. All right, so that's kind of how word work looks on the student side of things.